Hey, everybody. Welcome to the integumentary system in A&P. So we're going to talk about the skin, the hair, and the nails. So let's get started. So the integumentary system is formed by your skin and the accessory organs of your skin. And we'll talk about that, like your sweat glands, those types of things. Your skin is actually the largest organ of your body, and it is composed of epithelial tissue, glands, connective tissue, and nervous tissue, right? Your skin depends on other tissues, organs, and systems for things like nutrients. And your skin is what helps you communicate between inside of you and outside of you, internal and external forces. And that'll make more sense in a few minutes. Also protects you from infection, right? Your skin provides a physical barrier, protecting you from infection. It helps prevent absorption into your body of certain harmful substances, protects against water loss or gain, protects what's underneath of it. To a degree, it can protect against excessive sun exposure, cushions your internal organs against trauma, and it produces secretions for protection and water regulation, and that would be the oil in your skin, okay? So your skin is very, very important. Also absorbs medicines. Certain medications are given transdermally, which means through the skin, prevents nutrients from being washed out of the body, contains everything inside of you, right? Thermoregulation, it helps control your body's temperature, helps your body adjust to changes in the temperature, helps get rid of excessive heat when you exercise, and it shivers to keep you warm when you're cold, right? That's what that is. That's actually kind of a protective mechanism that the body does to keep you warm. From a metabolic standpoint, your skin provides insulation, produces and uses vitamin D, gets rid of waste, also contributes to changes in your cardiac output and your blood pressure, and absorbs gases like oxygen and nitrogen. Never knew that your skin did so many things. Sensation, right? It perceives stimuli. In other words, you can feel hot, cold, pain, pressure, touch, vibration, injury. Provides social and sexual communication. Sometimes just putting your hand on someone's shoulder is a comforting thing. Allows for physical intimacy. So your skin is pretty important. Communication. You can communicate your feelings and your moods through facial expressions. And in order for that to happen, your skin has to move. You can look angry or scared or embarrassed. You can communicate different cultural differences through skin and hair color. And the body image is basically portrayed through your skin's general appearance. So in other words, when I look at patients, I can kind of have a general idea of their state of health. Your skin also stores water, fat, and vitamin D. How about that? Okay, is the following statement true or false? The integumentary system is responsible for completing several functions, the most important of which is communication. False. It does a lot of things, and they're all important, but the biggest one is protection. Your skin protects you when it's intact. In other words, when there's no open areas that shouldn't be there, it protects you from getting sick, okay? Now here we have a structure of the skin. So looking at a cross section of the skin. Let's look at this one first. You have on the outside the epidermis, right? Which is this part of the skin. Then you have the dermis, right? Epidermis and dermis. And as you can see in the epidermis, you have your pores, which are the openings of your sweat glands, right? You have your papilla, which are your, where your hair comes out, right? There's your hair follicle. You have sebaceous glands, which produce oil, keep your skin lubricated. And you have nerve endings, right? Nerve endings. You have muscles between the epidermis and the dermis and that are erector pili. So in other words, when you get the goosebumps and you start to shiver, this muscle will stimulate the hair follicle to stand straight up. Your hair standing on end, okay? And then, of course, down below, arteries and veins, adipose tissue, and connective tissue in between, kind of holding it all together. Pretty amazing. Okay. So one step at a time, the epidermis is the thin superficial outer layer. And the epidermis has layers called the corneum, granulosum, spinosum, and basal. Okay. Those are the 4 layers. And they each serve a purpose. The corneum is the waterproof part. It provides a barrier against light, heat, bacteria, foreign substances. This is where the dead cells live. So when you exfoliate, you are getting rid of the stratum corneum. The basal layer is where new cells are made, new skin cells, mostly keratinocytes, and you also have Merkel cells, melanocytes, and Langerhans cells. And don't worry about knowing all of them. Just know that the basal layer germinates new cells, okay? The epidermis has no nerves, no blood supply, no nourishment, okay? Make sure you know that. Okay? It gets all of its nourishment via diffusion from the dermis, right? Through ret pegs, but don't worry about how. Just know that it doesn't have its own supply of anything. It gets everything it needs from the layer beneath it, the dermis, okay? The dermis is the true skin. That is the thickest layer of skin. Live cells are under there. And it's got layers called the papillary and reticular layer. The papillary layer is where you have your blood, your lymph vessels, so in other words, arteries and veins, lymphatic vessels, nerve endings, apocrine glands, hair follicles, sudoriferous glands, which are your sweat glands, sebaceous glands, elastin, fat, collagen, and fibrin. All of those things are in that layer. And I'm just going to put right here in parenthesis, sweat, so that you know that that's what sudoriferous glands are. And your sebaceous glands are for oil, the lubricant. Okay. Then the reticular layer is the deep, deep, deep layer, and that's attached to subcutaneous tissue. Okay. And that also has collagen and some elastic fibers in it because your skin can stretch, right? Okay. The subcutaneous tissue, which is the lowest level, right? That's also referred to as the hypodermis, the fatty layer, or superficial fascia. It lies beneath the dermis and the muscle. And what it does is attaches the epidermal and dermal layers to the underlying organs. So it cushions, protects, holds things in place, keeps the heat in and the cold out. It also is responsible for the formation and storage of lipocytes, right? Which are adipose tissue, fat cells. The skin color. Why is our color of skin the way it is? There are 3 pigments that produce skin color, okay? Melanin. Melanin is the dark brown black pigment that's produced by melanocytes. Carotene is a kind of yellow pigment, and it's a precursor to vitamin A. And then hemoglobin is the pigment in red blood cells, right? Makes them red. Oxygen is binding to hemoglobin, and it's always red. Then accessory structures. Well, you've got your hair. So your hair is composed of keratinized cells. And again, it gets its nutrients from the lower dermal level, right? Does have sebaceous glands that provide sebum, which is oil. Okay, it's a lubricant. Baldness, loss of hair, is also called alopecia. I'm going to put that in there in parentheses because you should know that. Alopecia is baldness. Okay. Your hair color is related to the type and amount of melanin you have. And believe it or not, even your hair is there for protection. And a person's hair can tell a lot about their physical shape, their physical condition. Then you have your nails. Your nails are tightly packed cells of a horny layer of epidermis, and they protect the sensitive tips of your fingers and toes. And they also are made up of dead keratinized cells. Okay, so they grow. So what you're cutting, it doesn't hurt when you cut your nails because the cells are dead. Okay, makes sense. Here's the structure of a fingernail. Okay, so here you've got the nail body, the nail plate is right below it, and then the nail bed is underneath the nail. This little white half moon thing here is the lanula. Right, it's white because it's caused by the air mixed with the keratin. Then you have underneath the nail matrix. This is where the nail grows from, right? It's part of the groove. You have the cuticle, which is a band of epidermis that covers the nail bed. You can call it a hangnail when it splits. Here's the nail groove or the root, and then this is the bone of the finger in here, okay? Other accessory structures. Your sebaceous glands, they're close to your hair follicles. They produce sebum, which is oil. Travels through the hair to the skin surface, makes your hair and skin soft. Also protects the skin by keeping it moisturized. It helps waterproof the top layer. The secretions of oil go crazy with puberty. That's why your kids usually have greasy skin and acne. and it decreases with age. That's why older folks get wrinkles and hair gets dry. Sudoriferous glands are located in the dermis. Different types. Let's talk about those. You have the apocrine glands. They're active during puberty, and that's what gives each person their own individual scent. Your eccrine glands, they secrete sweat that responds to an external and internal heat. So when it's really hot, you start to sweat. And then mammary glands produce milk. Okay? Ceruminous glands secrete cerumen, and the only place that you can find that is in the ear. Cerumen is earwax. Okay, I'm going to put that here so that you know. Okay, only found in the external auditory canal, and it protects the tympanic membrane, which is your eardrum. Okay, if there's too much wax, that can impair your hearing and also can lead to infections in the ear canal. Right? Is the following statement true or false? The secretion from sudoriferous glands gives hair its shine and provides some waterproofing. If you said false, you would have been right, because it's the sebaceous glands which provide the oil, make the skin soft and the hair glossy. So we're going to stop right there, and we'll go over some questions and answers, and then we will continue shortly. So I'm going to stop the share and stop the video, and we'll see you soon.